Hi everyone, Mature Simmer here. So welcome back to Generational Farming, start of year 6 as far as the work that we can do. So it's been several months till we've been able to function. Thought my mower was over here. I'm still thinking it is. I'm just hoping that it's hidden. And I'm wrong. So let me go find my mower. Found the mower. It was over here under the tree on the fields on this end. I do recall it kind of getting shoved over there when I was picking things up. But more importantly, I am coming to get my new piece of equipment. So I think I've mentioned on a previous episode that at this point, now that I got the tractor and the trailer on the used market, and that I'm kind of ready to hold on to those as I move forward into the next generation. I think we're fully connected here. No, now we are. We were. Alright. Just gonna hop over here, get myself repaired since I've got enough cash to for sure do that. I mean, the vehicle has been sold. Oh my gosh. Well, alright. That's not good. Alright. Customize. Alright. Bye. Thank goodness. I don't know what happened there. I must have hit the button twice somehow. That was a bit of a disappointment and a freak out moment there. But luckily it puts it right back in the used market, and you know, it's configured the same way it was, etc. But yeah, I think I had repaired. I was trying to move quickly, and again, be quick but don't hurry, as the famous John Wooden used to say. Not John Madden, John Wooden from the college basketball days in California. So that is a common phrase utilized. So let me now check again, because I'm not sure. Yeah, I hadn't even repaired it, so I don't understand. Alright. So that's good, that's good. Alright. I think it looks like I can hit enter and sell there. Obviously that's not what I meant to do. So now that I can breathe again, and there's panic has been averted, because wow, that was not fun. I'm like, oh my goodness. I was worried I was going to have to like rebuy that tractor at full price, but then I quickly recalled, wait a minute, it'll put it in the used equipment market, and it was the same amount it bought it from me, I think. So maybe I lost a little bit, but I think because I did it so quickly, it was exactly the same. So I'm going to go ahead, set up my line here. Now I should be able to unfold, whoops, those were unfolded. So 28 feet, but it's 8.3 meters if I recall. Whoops. So I want to do that. Pick that up. Oops. Too many buttons. Pick that up. Alright. So what I am going to try to figure out now is this going to be faster? Because I am going to have to do 2 passes, but this is kind of the target of what I'm looking to do going forward, is just wider mower so that I can cut grass faster, and then I'm going to windrow and collect it. So the challenge here, I think, is going to be, now I think I'm going to want to drive on the outside under the trees, because with the back mower there's no way to see that from inside. So that would be a bit of a challenge. So if I'm here, lower it, turn it on, let me go back here, go back there, and then I'm gonna lower this, turn it on, and at this point I'm gonna be able to go ahead. I'm just gonna have to take it a little bit slow, because okay, we're gonna have stuff like that happen. Because again, the challenge is going to be with the windrower. Can I even get that close now that I think about it? I don't know. So it might just be worth doing the large pass here. Okay, now this I've got to move further away. I can move back here. I think we're getting some lag. So let me move that over. And I'm definitely not going to do the street edge at this point, because with the wider mowing width, can't really do that. So this isn't quite 3 times the width, but it is more than 2 times the width. Alright, let me move over, because I'm tapping the edge here more than I really should be. Alright. And the question becomes, because some of this speed could also be related to the fact that I am not going to have to, not going to have to reposition as much, so we'll just go ahead here and mow. But yeah, the hope is, because first off, with just mowers I can go 13, as opposed to the 10 or 9 that I'm doing while I'm collecting, and that is because that's the max speed of the wagon. But with the wider width and the faster time, like getting through mowing should be a lot faster. Again, is it going to be nearly 3 times faster? Not necessarily, but on a work time calculation, it's significantly more. So, because, as I've mentioned many times on the work time, it doesn't calculate you turning around. It doesn't calculate all those other gymnastics you're doing. Like right now, like I'm not effectively working at this point. I am. Alright, so I'm just going to lower, I'm just going to lower the front and cut this piece, because yeah, when you turn, that's the other thing you run into, is you lose a few pieces. Alright, so I've got both mowers lowered, and now we're going down again. But what I was starting to say is, because the work time calculation doesn't go through that, because really with work time, I should have taken about 2.5 hours to do all my fields with the configuration I had before, but I was taking 6. And some of that was obviously cutting the edges. Takes a little while collecting the edges. Again, I'm getting about 6 loads. Now it'll be a little bit less than that now, because I'm not cutting certain spaces here, such as the other side of the trees near the road, because I don't have as much control over it, and I don't know that it's really worth worrying about for that amount. So what I ended up doing was figuring out the percentage difference in work time that occurred in the direct work time calculation. And so what that has arrived at is 62% less time to do these 2 jobs than it takes me to do the single job I was doing before, which is why I've gone ahead and said, yep, I think this is the way I want to work things going forward. What that translates into is, in theory, it should take me about 3 3/4 to 4 hours instead of 6 hours to get everything done. Now, the piece that, when you think about, oh gee, you should have been able to mow in 2, but it took you 6, like, how is it taking you 4 extra hours? Keep in mind, I was using a smaller trailer. I had to keep making more trips to silos to dump it. You're sitting there, you're waiting for it to dump. Things like that are going on. So there's a possibility I'll save even more time, having the larger trailer. It's going to be less trips and so forth, but I'm going to have more gymnastics going on because I think I'm going to have to, for example, fold that windrower every time I go to empty the trailer into the silos. And since the volume of grass should not differ, I'm still going to have 700,000 or 800,000 liters of grass to deliver, which is still going to be 20 to 30 trailer loads. So it may all end up being a wash, but I can't imagine that I wouldn't save some time. So that's what I'm trying to figure out, and that's what I'm going to be doing today, or at least the majority of today. But you can already tell, even with talking and working through things, like I've just been on for 15 minutes or so. Some of that was involved with going to collect the equipment from the store. God, this lag is terrible. That's also going to affect things if that really keeps going on. And as I think I mentioned, the first time tends to be the slowest time too, because I'm just learning the best way to do this. So like right now, I'm not skipping every other row. I'm ultimately wondering if that might work. But as you'd imagine, I can't fit through the trees as easily as I was able to before, so I'm not doing any of that. And, I'm having issues with the controls, trying to figure out the sequence. So, there was kind of a quick set of keystrokes that I would do at each turnaround. Now I have to pick up both mowers. I have to turn around, I have to line up. Where before, I wasn't picking up the pickup head on the trailer. So there's a little bit more complexity in the turnarounds, but I'm not sure they're necessarily taking any longer. In fact, it would seem that in theory I should be taking less time. So I'm going to keep working through this, and we're going to see what happens. Now, the server was behind about 12 hours, so part of why I'm starting as late as I am is I was unable to get on. When I got on, it was like 5 p.m. in April, even though it should have been 5 a.m. in May. So it took a little while for them to adjust the server. Once we're 12 hours off, they go ahead and do that. So the other challenge that potentially exists is I can't necessarily guarantee that I can just stay on and get this all done quickly. The most efficient way to do this would certainly be to mow everything, then go around and pick it up. I definitely won't be leaving it overnight, and that's really been more the feedback that we've gotten, but sometimes, because this lag keeps happening, I might change my mind, and that will add some time. And this won't be an exact science in figuring this out, because as I've said the last 2 times that I've shared when I'm doing the work, sometimes it takes me 12 to 13 actual hours till I'm able to spend the time in the server to do everything I need to get this done. So just trying to keep track of things if I have to come and go, which I likely will need to be doing, is just going to add some challenges to really accurately getting this taken care of and measured appropriately, because of all those additional pieces. But I'm going to do the best I can, and it should be pretty obvious if it takes me 8 hours instead of 12 hours, for example, to get everything done if I have a lot of breaks. So I'm going to try to be more vigilant about tracking this, but that's what I'm going to be doing. I'll pop back on when I start doing the second half of this after I mow, and I'll get you up to speed of where we're at then. So I'll see you in a bit. So I do apologize. I did not realize, I completely forgot that kind of the biggest news I hadn't told you yet, because it happened literally right at the end, right after I ended the last episode. So let me get this connected. So this is the windrower, which goes on the front, and then I've got my trailer, which goes on the back. But right after I finished the last episode, this tractor appeared on the used market. So this is a Landini. I have it configured now to 225 horsepower, which is its max. I used it through the winter to do all my sales, and I did it with where I'm headed now, the new trailer, which literally showed up on sale about 3 hours after the tractor did. So the things I was looking for now, this was a slightly bigger trailer than I wanted because it requires 150 horse and it's 35,000 liters. I had a 33,600 liter that if I didn't find it on sale, that would be what I would get next gen. And it only requires, I think, 120 horse. So there is, you know, that added requirement here, but it works just fine. Because I was worried, like, can I tow it? The other difference with this tractor that is great is the top speed of this tractor is 32 miles an hour. The top speed of my old tractor was 26. So I've got basically a 25 to 30% premium. So let me unfold this. Now I have not used this windrower at all, but this is the Lizard $32,000 windrower. But again, I found this on sale a while ago. It's been sitting there between my silos for a while, so that was something I had targeted that I was going to go ahead and do and move, and this showed up on sale about when we were told we could bring equipment, so I quickly grabbed it because this is by far the most cost-effective option out there that I could see. So we're going to see how this all works. So I'm going to go ahead and try to line myself up here. Hopefully the trailer will stay a little bit straight. Alright, more importantly, I just need that. So we're going to turn this on, and then we're going to turn this on. And so this is my first attempt here to see how this is all going to go and how fast it's going to go, more importantly. So I can move 3 pieces of equipment. At this point, I've got a tractor, 2 mowers, a windrower, and a forage wagon. The nice thing with this, because initially for a while I was debating getting a separate trailer to take things for sale, because the small forage wagon I had just was a lot of trips. It's 16,000 liters a piece. It takes a bit of time to go ahead and bring everything to market. And so I had tried that 33,000 wagon. Alright, I might need to come back and grab that. That's a good amount of grass that got left there. But yeah, this is working terrifically. And I knew this would be 9 or 10 miles an hour because that's the working speed of these implements. I forget which one. Did I miss it, or was it again down the hill? I think it was down the hill. So I might need to come back. Yeah, it's not grabbing it, so I'll worry about that later, because I can always go back and kind of clean things up, or, you know, in the end, I don't know that it entirely matters that I've got a little bit here and there. Yeah, so the bumps and bruises aren't working as well as they did with the mower, because the mower obviously wasn't one large component. So this has a working width, unlike the mower. I think this is 10.3 meters. The mower's 8.1. So this is another 2.2 meters, which is, you know, a pretty substantial difference. You can see one arm moves independent of the other, so I like how these operate. But more importantly, with the trailer here at 35,000, I can get quite a ways around, even though I'm windrowing a lot of rows of grass together here. I can get a long way around before the trailer's full. So this, again, from a work time standpoint, is going to be a big deal. So now what I think I'm going to have to do here, oops, is pick this up to go drop something in. Actually, I'm going to have to do this. So I don't just need to pick it up, I have to fold it. Because this allows me to drive in here. Obviously, if it was unfolded, I could not get in here. So that's my piece that I'm like, well, you know, there's going to be some gamesmanship here. But I think being able to collect, instead of 3 meters, being able to collect over 10 meters wide in one pass at the same speed that I was going, that was when I did the work time calculation and determined the true work time of what my old equipment was compared to my new was, you know, a 62%. It was going to take 62% of the time I was doing. So I wasn't going to cut my time in half. Still going to take a while, but, you know, but that's okay. So let's see. So I need to go here, here. We'll start grabbing this. It should start picking things up. There we go. Again, we might lose a bit here around the turn. I'm trying to swing a little wider to avoid that. It looks like I did a great job. Because, yeah, especially if I can tidy these edges up. You know, once I get the edge of the field picked up, there's not a whole lot left. And then it's way, way faster because I just go up and down and up and down. So I got both this forage wagon and the tractor on sale. I've got the windrower on sale. And at this point, those are likely going to be the 3 items that I move. The 2 mowers are not that expensive. They're $9,000 and $25,000 each. Again, you can go substantially more in cost, but you're only getting a meter or 2 increase in width. And so, you know, as I think that through, it took me about an hour, 20 minutes, hour and a half, if I was estimating, to mow all the fields. Now the challenge ends up being, because I was mowing and collecting before, the 6 hours is the full job. So until I get everything done, I really don't have an apples to apples comparison here, because I have to go over these fields twice in this process now, where before I was doing it all in one pass, but I was doing it in a way that required me, for example, to pass over every field 3 times anyway. I went across and then back across because of the turning radius, and it was the most efficient way to do it was to skip 2 rows in between and then go ahead and go up, where here I can just go one next to the other. So I think that helps. But I know this field on its own, I think I spent 2.5 to 3 hours just working. So the fact that I could get all 3 fields mowed in an hour and a half, right now I'm liking what I'm seeing. And as I said, the 62% of 6 hours is basically 3 and 3/4 hours. So that's where I said, you know, it's probably 3 3/4 to 4 hours if I'm just being conservative. Now, you know, at this point, I should be able to lock in on the GPS here, and the nice thing is I'm going to probably be full just about the time I get to the silo because of the amount of grass I'm sucking in here. and lining up for my pickup head. So yeah, I'm already at 34,000. I'm going to be there well before, so now what I need to do is just hit X and then fold it and come in. And so, as I drive back, I just unfold it again. This shouldn't really have an impact on my working time. So, we'll see when we're done. I have to stop in about an hour to take another break, get some other things done. And so I'm definitely going to be doing that, as I don't have a choice but to do that. I mean, that's an obligation I've got. I've got to do some stuff. Real life is real life. But what I was hoping for as I was waiting in this generation was that I could find equipment on sale. I ended up in a better spot than I initially thought I was going to be going to, in that I'm really just going to have to buy the mowers and probably the fertilizer spreader. Oops, I forgot to turn on my forage wagon. So again, learning how to operate everything. So there's going to be little fits and starts, and there were some of those with the mower too, and keep that in mind. Even with the learning curve and everything, it was an hour and 20 minutes, an hour and a half. If I can get this done in an hour, even if it takes me an hour and a half, I have literally then cut my work time in half. And that is huge for when I move, because I then have actual information with what I own. And I'm going to come back and get this little bit here. So I'm going to back this up, and I knew when I turned I had a bit of a problem, but I can sweep this in and then come back and I think still pick everything up. So nice thing with the wide arms sticking out. It works well that way. But instead of guessing and saying, well, yeah, I know I'm going to add all this bigger equipment and I'm going to operate it, and here's what I think would happen, I now have the option of making the call to say, you know what, I'm going to now do more acres because I know I can work them and I don't have any issue. Alright, that didn't really help because I was hoping that I could more cleanly pick things up, but in any event, that didn't work. So that's the benefit of having it, aside from the fact that we still have, in essence, 3 years. This is the start of the first of 3 years. We're still here. And now I get to do those 3 years with the bigger equipment that might cut my time in half. Now, I don't think, I'm not going to say I won't, because I need to pay attention to what everybody else is doing. But I don't think I'm going to suddenly expand and buy even more land. I certainly now have the income again, and I would have the same situation where, I'd probably actually be in a better situation because I had to increase the silos. I have some silo capacity, in theory, and I could add more land on, which then, would guarantee kind of staying ahead of what I know is going on and what I'm observing around me. Which is partially why, I did this, but, at this point, what I've got, wow, this lag is not left. I will say that. So it was laggy the entire time I was mowing. It is still laggy now. I don't know if it's because there's another FM on. He's cutting grass. He's also, I think, using AI to run a contract while he's continuing to work his farm. So there's, in theory, a lot going on. But just not sure what the situation is. But you know, and keep in mind then these times I'm giving you include all that. So the server's just acting strangely, and it's hiccuping, and it's taking more time. Like, all of this bodes well for really having a good outcome, because I would honestly be surprised if this takes me more than the time it took me to mow to collect the grass. Because as I said, like, once I get this go around or these headlands done, I'm just then going up and down. I'm turning around at the end. This will go really fast. The other field will have, you know, one turnaround, where here I've gone around. I'm going around a second time because I've got such a big margin on the edge of the fields here. So let me fold this out, and then again we'll turn that on. We'll go back once again, trying to figure out how I'm going to work things. And so now I've got this down. I don't really need to yet. I forgot to lower my pickup head again. I think I'm back far enough. I am. Alright. So now we're good. And so now once again I'm moving forward. But it's those times that are extra to the working time when you're calculating. Driving to the silo, driving back. And I'm doing a lot less of that because I have a wagon that is about 2.2 times the capacity of what I used to have. So that was going to be my initial concern, is if I couldn't get the forage wagon, and I was really waiting because these are not inexpensive. I think this forage wagon new is $100,000, but getting it on sale, it's not $100,000. So that worked out really well. And obviously I didn't pass it up. I would have gotten something less. The other one I was looking at, I think, was only 50 or 60,000. So for the same price here, I've gotten a bigger capacity and so forth. And everything works really well together. My only unknown was what I'm doing now. I had never used the windrower. I had picked it up, carried it over, put it down. I had never turned it on. I had never seen what it was going to do. The base configuration of this machine, which is what I bought it when it was on sale for, whoops, hold on, I need to pick the windrower up, not the back end. So now at this point I can run my my rows. And so, you know, and that's the other thing, is I'm very cleanly then going to be on filling this silo for a little bit, then I'll be filling the other one. Like, this will go pretty swimmingly, I believe. You know, I've spent basically 7 minutes since I last looked and said I have about an hour, and I've gotten this done, which included, you know, 1.5, two loads, so about 70,000 liters of silage. You know, but in 3 loads, I get 105,000 liters of silage, which when I have 800,000 liters or so, which is what I'm pulling off each time, just a lot less trips. So therefore, a lot less in addition to the working time, which is why it might be possible that I can get sub 50% at this point. So, you know, and this is where you're balancing things in Farming Simulator, of spending money that really gets you a benefit, because it's far too easy to spend money and say, well, you know, I'm gaining 2 meters, that's going to save me time. And for some people, they unfortunately don't have an option. Those 10 minutes might be the difference. Now, I would say, well, then you just end up not doing that work, and, you know, that 10 minutes is not probably going to be that substantial. But people fall into that because, you know, the next steps up on this, the forage wagons are a perfect example, just like harvesters or plows or other things. It's not only more expensive for the forage wagon, but if I go the next step up, if I recall, from this forage wagon of 150 horse, is a 250 horse forage wagon. And yes, I think it does 40,000 liters, which is a 10 or 15% premium or an increase in capacity of what I have with this one. But I now have to buy a tractor that now has the additional 100 horsepower, and that's not inexpensive. You know, to windrow, because I think the windrower is 45 horse or something. I don't think it's substantial, because I think it's 195 horse together with the windrower and this that I need. Oops. Again, trying to get to the right piece here. But, you know, if I bought the next version up, I am now in a situation where I need 300 horsepower instead of 195 to make that work. And that moves me into large tractor territory, where instead of having tractors that are starting at like 100, 150, you're into the tractors that are at $300,000 or $400,000. And per all the discussions we've had about finances here in generational farming, that's a bad choice, in my opinion. You know, when I've looked at some of the tractors other folks have around, you know, they've gone with some beasts, and that's their choice. They may enjoy that and whatever. But if something works and I can run at full speed, you know, again, having a JCB that goes 37 versus this that goes 32, how much is that really going to help? I'm not sure that, you know, the cost differential is worth it. So I'm really tickled pink with what I've got, because I now have the equipment I need to go forward in generational farming, like all of it. And I just will be kind of determining, you know, the factor that's up in the air is, will I change the 3 pieces I move around? I don't think so. I've spent a good amount of time, because again, we've had the winter season where nothing's really going on for a while, and so I spent a good part of a day, and when I'm mowing for 6 hours and harvesting, if I suddenly don't have to do that because it's winter, you know, if I spend an hour doing analysis, I'm still, you know, 5 hours ahead of the time I was spending in the game. So I did take a look, and, you know, and that one's just a straight numbers thing. What are my 3 least expensive items what are my least expensive items if I have to rebuy, or i.e., what are my most expensive items that I would have to rebuy? Those are the 3 I move. And so that is the 3 that I have right here. So this is my configuration that moves from one place to the next, is the plan. The other items I have will get rebought, you know, and there's a little bit of potential waiting. You know, there's things I can do to lease. You know, I'm not going to lease mowers. You know, and I don't think I'm going to lease the spreader. I think I'm going to have the setup I have now. But the benefit I have is in the between time, toward the end of last fall and into the winter, what I was starting to mull over was, all right, I'll keep a small forage wagon, but I'll get a bigger trailer to transport to sale, because the forage wagon is just here. It's just those short trips like that, versus potentially driving across the map on another map, and then, you know, having all that extra distance at a lot more trips and so forth. So that was where I was at, but 35,000 liters is more than enough, because even the largest forage wagon is only holds 50,000. So sure, it lowers the amount of trips, but I'm also not looking, you know, as I said, I'm likely going to do a smaller footprint, even with what I learned now. Like, if suddenly, hey, this is 3 hours, That's my backdoor strategy. That's if I've got somebody who is just gung-ho and decides to suddenly be putting in tons of time and is pressing, and I need to determine, do I want to stay ahead or not? I may have to buy more land. I may have to get back up to 27, 30 acres like I have now. But I don't think that's going to be the situation. I'm just not seeing that amount of effort from a whole lot of people. So, and I think it's just the reality. I mean, you know, it's a game. It's not life or death. It just depends how much people want to put in. And again, this is first generation out of potentially 9 more. So multiply the time we've spent here since December. We're now into February. We're still here. This is going to be over a year, year and a half. Could go up to 2 years. I don't see a lot of people spending 6 hours every 2 days, you know, to try to catch me or something. And the benefit I have is kind of one of those, like, once I'm in the lead, I can kind of look over my shoulder, and if someone starts doing something to catch up, it's not like they're suddenly going to surprise me. You know, I can see they're closing the gap probably years ahead of time, and I make an adjustment of buying another 10 acres, and I suddenly have another $200,000 of income just from doing that. You know, and even if it's someone that's doing grass or whatever, then it just becomes, I just need to stay even with them, and I stay ahead. So, you know, and that was kind of the strategy I had, was not play around, not waste time here at the beginning, and then suddenly try to play catch up, because that's exactly the position someone else would be in. That was the concern I had from year 1 to year 2, if you recall, is someone who was doing grass, who was really going all in and was really intelligently buying equipment and so forth, might have already had a lead that, as long as they kept an eye on what was going on, that couldn't be overcome. That hasn't happened. And you know, at this point, I'm pretty comfortable where I'm at, and pretty comfortable with how things are working. So again, we got another load done here. But yeah, I do apologize for not bringing up kind of the, you know, burying the lead, as they say. I didn't mean to not cover, hey, I got all this new equipment, especially since you're going to see it in the thumbnail prominently featured. But I just forgot that it wasn't something you were even aware of from the last episode. So I was starting this episode all excited about, hey, I'm going to go get the back mower, and you're probably looking at this blue tractor and saying, did you repaint? Like, what's going on? Because I understand I'm in the equipment already, and so it's not like you saw the name of the equipment come up on the screen. So there may have been some of you who were like, oh, he just decided to make his tractor blue, he repainted it. No, I have a brand new tractor, a much better tractor. So, whoops, started going too fast, and I was, you know, now I'm too close, so now I do have to wait a little bit. But that will let me do that. Then I need to go here, put the pickup down. I'm all set now, so now I should be good, unless I misread something. Again, I'll go back to the windrower, because that's the thing I need to fold. So it's kind of learning these tricks of how I want to do things, just to make my keystrokes as efficient as possible, and that is, all those things work together to lower the working time. So I'm going to keep moving along. I've babbled on long enough about this. I hopefully appreciate it if you're still here. As always, if you're enjoying this, if you want to stay informed, you want to help the channel grow the community, so that we've got more going on and more people here talking about things, and we're all working together for enjoyment of Sims, please like this video, please subscribe to the channel. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers as the next big milestone. So grinding onto that. So appreciate any help I can get to get there. And I'm going to keep getting this done. Completed here. So it took, I'd say 3.5 hours. Wasn't too terribly bad. So definitely a much faster process. So happy to see that. And I'm hoping I can speed it up over time. Now there are larger areas that I was cutting before that I'm not. So I think we're probably going to get a little bit of a decrease in what we've been seeing. But you can see between the small silos here, we have, what, 157, so basically 314. That's actually pretty good. And then 253 and 275. So, about 500. A little over 500 to 525,000, and then 314,000. So, roughly 850,000 is what we got off the field. And we're doing that in, again, 3.5 hours, and that will turn into a good amount in sale later. So, just wanted to get you up to date at the end. But once again, now that we're not running around, a little closer look. So this is our forage wagon, 35,000 liter capacity, 225 horsepower Landini tractor, and then the Lizard forward windrower. And those are kind of my key 3 that I'm going to be using within the series for certain, or within the generational farming overall. So that gets you up to speed on where we're at on generational farming, and I'll see you next time.